Today we're driving the Volvo EX90 and going to find out, is it a worthy electric version of the XC90, so to speak? Do they have anything in common technology-wise? And can they conquer especially the Northern American market with this one here? Everything you need to know with Thomas Nautical in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go. Front here closed, all the way EV look. Vapor Grey is this very vehicle color. We also have a sand dune color here for you too, which I also find pretty cool. Then the headlamps here in this typical Volvo design, but now a little bit more segmented in this more modern look. And here the daytime running light continues in the lower part, vertical. This is then where the turning indicator appears indeed. This color here, by the way, it's not a matte color, but it appears to be a little bit matte, so to speak. Then the length here, 5 meters and 4 or 198 inches. So for European taste, a full-size SUV, for US taste, a mid-size SUV. 5, 6, 7-seater options. US 6 and 7-seater will be standard. In Europe you can get a 5-seater. In Asia you will soon also get a 4-seater with executive seating. So different setups for different markets. Soon more to the interior. Wheels 22, maximum 22-inch. These are also the biggest 22-inch. And very interesting here with this white contrast and also these aerodynamic inserts. Then you have a standard suspension from the low trim levels and optional a 2-chamber 1-valve air suspension. It's also equipped with this very vehicle here. You also have some settings on the infotainment system. We'll talk about that when we drive it very soon. Then towards the rear we have the typical vertical orientation of the lamps here for Volvo. Looks modern as well. And when you hit the turning indicators or hazard lights, then it's like on the inside from that you have the yellow appearance then here. It's also looking pretty fancy, I feel. So yes, it does remind us from the visual part of the Volvo XC90, and we will also present a Volvo XC90 facelift to you very soon here on this channel, or maybe if you watch that video at a later stage, it's already online and we will link it. So on a technology base, these are really two separate vehicles. This is the all-electric one, the EX90, and the Volvo XC90 with plug-in hybrid and mild hybrid petrol engine. This is more than the combustion engine version still, and they will both exist on a parallel basis, only that the XC90 will never have an all-new successor. So it will still run, then parallel, and at some point then this will be the thing, because on long run Volvo will go all electric. And speaking about electrification and so on, you get two different battery sizes, and we're talking about the net usable battery sizes here. So the one is 107 kilowatt hours net and the other one is 101. And then you might ask yourself, wait a minute, for 6 kilowatt hours difference between two different battery sizes, that doesn't make any sense. You know, why would they put this effort? And for the customer it's hardly any difference, honestly. And this has a regulatory issue, because in the EU you need to be under a certain weight threshold to register this car as a normal passenger car. And then they need this entry-level version, which is a little bit lower in weight, and from that battery module they basically put out one module, and then they can actually have the whole normal registration, homologation and so on. So it's more a regulatory issue, and then they say, hey, let's make an entry version, make that a little bit smaller battery, make it rear-wheel drive, and also then slower in the acceleration, so it will be above 8 seconds in the acceleration figure. And then we have, for example, this version here with all-wheel drive. So it's then one electric motor in the rear, one electric motor in the front, and then you're either below 6 seconds or below 5 seconds, even in the acceleration figure, to 1 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour, when you have the performance version, which we also have here. The performance version is just a software tuned thing, and then you have 1 second quicker in the acceleration figure. And of course, we'll also accelerate this one out here for you very soon. Always in the video description, in the comments, also mark it. We also have all the facts and figures condensed for you if you want to read them later on. Charging port is on the other side. In both cases, the battery size are not too different. Yes, they have a little bit different peak of 250 or 235 kilowatt, but it will both be 30 minutes, 10 to 80% state of charge, then at a quick charging station. Of course, these are then the optimum figures. I heard that here, especially on the like US market, it's sometimes a little bit harder to find these really high power fast charging stations. In Germany we have a couple of these, yes, but these are always like the optimum conditions. Realistic range and we'll update you with a concise test consumption also after our extensive drive, then later on, once again, towards the end of our video. It always depends, of course, on the outside temperature and so on. Heating the battery. There is a heat pump standard, yes, but when it's really cold, it takes a lot of energy to bring the battery to the optimum temperature. However, when it's really hot and you use the AC, that is actually not such a problem for electric vehicles. So we've also done some tests ourselves, and when you use the AC on an electric vehicle, it takes about 1 to 1.5 kilowatt hour per hour. And that's actually not too much. So when you're stuck in a traffic jam in summertime, it's really hot, and you let the AC run, you should not be afraid that your battery gets drained and so on. This is not the big issue at all. It's rather an issue when it's super, super, super cold. Then it is less efficient. But we hope that the heat pump will also serve a good purpose then here, especially for the Scandinavian markets, where this car will also be sold. Soon also more about the prices. And while I open the front hood for you, some more technical information. First of all, the batteries are NMC technology. And if you have the all-wheel drive version, the front motor, that's like the additional one. But the strange thing is that there is an uncoupling possible of one electric motor, but then it's the rear one. So just to get it again, base version, rear-wheel drive, and then when you go for the all-wheel drive version, it's also the rear motor that can be uncoupled while just like rather steady, slow driving for better efficiency. And the reason behind that is because the rear electric motor has a torque vectoring possibility, and that's why it was for them more useful to use that one also to uncouple it. Yeah, usually it's the other way around, but I mean, sometimes it's the way it is. And then the question is, when I open this one, is there a frunk? Yes, there is, and not too small actually. So I guess you can put things in every compartment. Yeah, I mean, this does close it here, so yeah, why not? And really large here for the water refill, for the wipers. And look at that, this is an inbuilt funnel, so that's actually a very nice idea, isn't it? And another special feature, look at that. So the headlamps are being hidden behind the daytime running light. That looks really cool. Do I find this feature cool and useful? Well, it looks cool, but I think it is prone to failure, basically. So I think it is an overcomplicated technology, so I'm not a big fan of it, you know what I mean? And technology-wise, by the way, LED, optional matrix LED then on the options list here for the main headlamp unit. And look at that in the top part. If you wonder, is it where you have like a taxi sign or Uber or Lyft or something? Maybe your personal name or something, or maybe like a slogan. Well, they have the slogan like Volvo for life, but why do they have the slogan right here? Because this is here another sensor type. This is the LiDAR, so the laser sensor. And you know, Elon Musk has the philosophy that they say, hey, we get rid of all the ultrasonic sensors, we do camera only, because he personally thinks you only need cameras. In reality, it's just cost savings. But the reality for real, from a technology standpoint, is the more sensor types you have, the better. So camera sensors for visual, ultrasonic sensors, especially when it's foggy or something, and then LiDAR for even higher range. And the best thing for assistance systems and actually recognizing what is the surrounding around the vehicle further on for autonomous driving is, of course, when you have all the set of sensors. And it's really astonishing that they put the LiDAR sensor as standard equipment, because that's a very expensive technology. So interesting to see it right here. Visually, of course, it always looks a little bit weirdo. So yeah, I would find it pretty cool when you can just individualize it with maybe like some light slogans or something, or maybe if you want to overtake someone, that it shows like, you know, like go away or something. So you access the car just because it's registered in your phone, or you can also have this key card, but that's like, then you have to like put it here, then press it, and it's just too complicated. It's just like a fail-safe thing to use the key card. They really think that you should always use your phone for that one, actually. By the way, it is built here in the United States. We're in California today, but this one here is built in Ridgeville, South Carolina. That's also their strategy, of course, to avoid import tariffs, because their parent company, Geely, is a Chinese company, and if they would build it in China only, then they would have to pay a lot of tariffs and so on. So yeah, I think it's also a good decision here to build it also for the Northern American market in Northern America, in the United States. Later on, they will also build in China, but then just for the Chinese and the other Asian markets. Let's take a look here at the door. I would say it's okay, the door closing sound, nothing special. When you press your thumb here, by the way, these door handles here, they're then more or less flush, they fold in. Then you just hold your hand here and they come out. Then rear door closing sound. That's more solid. We had a couple of cases of that where it was actually better that way, right? Then inside of the doors, we have here leatherette, also with contrast stitching. Then you have two different sound systems. There's like the high-end Bowers & Wilkins sound system. Then for the window levers here, so this is like the front one, and then you press it here. And then you switch to the rear one. That's how it's working. And the lower part of the door, this is also covered here with the leatherette, so that's a good thing. So not only black plain plastic, just the outside part right here. And then EX90 entry badge. And which is also special here at the inside of the door. This is a new QR code, and you can scan it with your smartphone, and that will be mandatory by 2027. They already have it here as a first manufacturer. When you scan it with your smartphone, it tells you all the different battery components and where they're coming from and so on. So it's another good transparency thing, actually. Then cockpit here, steering wheel. This is also an animal-free material. Really good quality, feels nice. These buttons here are capacitive. You see here is one whole button field. We have that hashtag capacitive BS because I prefer real buttons, but at least they do give you a feedback here, definitely. And yeah, see here, this is also the volume control, for example. 3 different seats. These here are the fabric seats with a 30% wool share, 70% then of the fabric from recycles. So this is one solution here. Depends on what you like. So the alternative would be a high-grade leatherette, which is, I think, looks also pretty cool. Either completely closed, or that one, the high-grade leatherette, the Nordico, is also available perforated together with a cooling function, with active cooling. And that's why I also would go for the Nordico high-grade leatherette. It is the softest material. At the same time, you have the active cooling, so you're both fine in winter and summertime, and to me it's also a little bit more comfortable than the fabric seats here, but the ergonomics itself is actually pretty good. These here are rather firm, the seats, you know, from the bolstering, I would say. You can lengthen here the top, this top form here. Yeah, so overall, typical SUV seating position. It's also pretty much comparable to Volvo XC90. And by the way, they also use more recycling materials in this vehicle. Even the Nordico high-grade leatherette seats, they contain a bio share from pine oil and also recycled materials. And headroom here with 189, 6'2", still some headroom left, although this one here is then this panoramic roof. You cannot open it, and there's also no electrochrome function and so on. What you can order in the configurator is like a hardware cover you can clip into the inside of this glass roof. Might be a solution for really, really hot states. G-Class 63 AMG in the similar color spec. Would you rather go for that one or choose the Volvo EX90? Tell me in the comments. And now we arrived with the cockpit overview, and it's really beautiful and really clean Scandinavian atmosphere here with a matte real wood. Beautiful in this really bright trim. I love that. Of course, different stylings are available. And then the leatherette cover is also soft and plush. So it has a very nice first impression. 14.5 vertical screen layout. Also pretty clean, minimalistic. This is where you switch the gears. Here for drive, reverse like this. You also have the camera system, and P you press here on the left side. So good to have still store columns. And also a small 9-inch digital instrument cluster. Soon more details to that in the driver POV. Then we have the middle console here, once again with the soft leatherette here. Yeah, it's also really nice for your elbows. So sometimes these areas are too hard, and that's not good for traveling, but this is really, really cool. Well attached. Open this one, more space underneath. There is this split here, however, I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe it's, for some it's maybe too deep. I don't know.
Now we can see.
Yeah, there we go. So, and then We have here once again this wood atmosphere. You can slide this one open for adaptive cup holders. They are nice. And here for the volume you still have a manual interface and also this play pause button. Inside you also have this honeycomb structure that's beautifully done. And in front, inductive charging pad, and this also cooled. That's a good thing because then the phone cannot overheat that easy. And here in the front we have USB-C chargers if you prefer cable charging, and more space right here. And does it work here with the sun visors, or the sun blinds? Yes, it does work. You can extend them for long highway travels depending on where the sun is coming from. And it's a really long extension here. Although in that case here, usually we have like this small arrow symbol. You have maybe seen on our channel already, but this time they didn't use the arrow symbol. But yeah, at least when you watch our videos, you know that this vehicle is capable of that. Driver POV, here once again the buttons at the steering wheel. This one, for example, changes the digital instruments. I mean, the feedback is quite good from the buttons, I have to say that. And also the visualization on the small digital instruments cool, and they move together with the steering wheel, actually. Then you also have a head-up display right there. There we go. And if we move over then to the infotainment system, so vertical style, the climate unit is in the lower part right here. And that means, and this is strange, before you could just like minus, plus, or blue and red, and now you have to click once. And then you have the pop-up menu, and then you go for plus, minus, and yeah, for everyone who uses it to change the climate here while driving, that's not a good solution, I feel. Here it's relatively easy for the steering wheel heating and for the seat heating, however, that's okay. Yeah, but once again, physical climate dials are always better, I feel. And then this two-step atmosphere, I think, is not that clever here. Yeah, thank you, Leah, for putting the climate off. It's better for the sound, definitely. And then in the lower right, these are all the vehicle settings, for example, to deactivate the lane keeping assist and so on. The visualization of the screen is amazing. Also the quality here, for example, and also of the satellite view. Yeah, best greetings to all our viewers from California, especially here today, and of course from everyone from the US, because we're filming in the US here today. Google Maps inbuilt, Android automotive background, and then you have this main menu. You will also be able to fit Apple CarPlay at a later stage to this vehicle. It will come with over-the-air update. And then there's one more button called Glove Box, and Leah is showing that to us. Oh, wait for it. Ta-da! Yeah, that's how you unlock the glove box. And you might say that a manual, normal physical button in the glove box would be better. However, this solution is pretty clean from the exterior, and the advantage for that is when the vehicle is locked, no one can access the glove box when you break in and so on, unless the vehicle is on.
And there's also a special hidden slot for the menu. That's nice. Ooh. Or for the phone.
Charging planning with Google Maps here inbuilt. For example, let's say we want to go to San Francisco. There we go. And this is then, let's see here, 7 hours, jump to 8 hours 27 now. So because it was including the charging time now, 12% after charging, 2 charging stops. So they can see, calculated one charging stop was 27 minutes and another one was 27 minutes. So yeah, that looks quite good from this route planning. It's of course always the question, how is it concisely? We kind of test it today, but maybe then at the later stage when we can do some extensive road tripping and so on. Stylish bottles here, by the way, for the cup holders, and yeah, it works actually pretty smooth to put them in and out. And what I also want to mention, I quickly mentioned the Bowers & Wilkins sound system, and I really have to say, like the surround sound, like the immersion, I mean, is absolutely excellent. I'm a music lover. Yeah, this really, it really touches you. It's can't describe how good it is actually. And what Leah also found out, there are no handles in the top there, neither in the front nor in the rear.
And when Thomas is driving, you need it.
That's a rumor, that's a rumor. Now it gets really exciting, and also my workout will start very soon here with the second and third seating row. First of all, rear doors, soft touch leatherette here, also on the back part. I love that build quality, also with the bright wood once again. Then you also have the button in here for the window levers. Let's check out, by the way, here. That's also, yeah, that's nice. dual insulation glass also for the rear doors, both front and in the rear. Here, can we see that with a dual layer? So that's very cool actually. And also at the rear doors from the inside is high-grade leatherette covering, so not just a black plain plastic. I like that. Then the rear seating area. So here you can move the seats back and forth, and this is like an individual split here, also the middle part just. Then to fold seats, you pull down this lever and then you would fold like this, and then you can see also the seat here is going down, and you fix it like this. Then you have to unlock it once again with this respective lever. There we go, and you see also that the head restraint automatically goes down. That's a typical Volvo feature, and there we go to pop it up again. The middle seat here, by the way, gets closer with the legroom. It's also a little bit stiffer. Still works with the headroom. Not the most comfortable, but it works. And for this, let's say, intermediate child solution here, there we go with this small inbuilt child seat, just to put it a little bit higher. Other than that, there is ISOFIX here. Here is it also on? No, not on the front seat, but one ISOFIX here, one here, and two more at the third seating row soon to come. Then here, the cup holders. This opening mechanism is to me not the best one, honestly, but here it's like integrated holder. But then when you put them back again, yeah, now it works, but something is a little bit flimsy. There we go. The seat comfort itself is decent, definitely. Just the legroom here. I mean, this is a seat I would be driving as a tall person. It works with 5 tall adults here. Let's see about 6 and 7 seats soon, but could be more legroom, I feel. Cool that they use the EV platform, and there's just this through carpet right here. This, by the way, from Econile, so this also with recycling share, and it's also pretty cool. Separate climate unit in the rear, all wire touch though, and also the seat heating for the rear works too. There we go, and lower part 2 USB-C chargers, and this one here once again also individual. Here with this lever I can, by the way, also adjust the angle more backward or more upright like this, so it's already very versatile right here. And then here when I pull this lever here, this then the entry function for the rear seats. Here it goes a little bit up and then you slide it forward a little bit. Access is still kind of small, honestly, but this is a cool function here. You see these buttons here, and these you can do it from the trunk or from here, electrically fold in and out this third seating row. You can also do it for the other seat. Also interesting always how they fold down with the head restraints automatically. And then if you press and hold again, there we go. I don't even have to hold it, just press once again. There we go, and then I can fold up the head restraint there. And also for this side, there we go. Sometimes it needs second or third press. So like this, and then we have this third seating row again. Interesting solution here, by the way, to have this cover that, especially when the children are back there and they play with something, it cannot fall underneath that quickly. So good to have this cover, but at the same time you can open it again if something fell somewhere like this. And then I've moved this bench part here now a little bit more forward, that I could still sit here. Then the question is, how much space do I still have back there in the rear end? I can maybe also climb from here. So there we go. Because, like, I mean, this opening is, it will work, but it won't be that large. But then here for the third seating row, switching the position, yeah, I have to crouch in there. It's definitely not for tall adults. Yeah, with my legs, I have to put them to the side. So you see here, nothing for tall adults. Also headroom-wise, yeah, maybe for a really short trip, but yeah, it's, for me, it's claustrophobic. Of course, not as everyone is as tall. You have ISOFIX here, that's good. So you can either use it for child seats, or then if people are not that tall, but then maybe don't need child seats anymore, like this area of height in between or something. So this, at least you're more flexible. And then you could also go for a 6-seater. They don't have a through bench, but 2 individual seats there in the front. Or on the European market, you could also go 5-seater if you don't need it at all and just want to have more trunk space underneath the cover. Then let's check out the trunk or the boot, also very interesting. Then cabin totally fits in easily, also when the third seating row is up. So that's the thing, we didn't have too much leg room, however, in the Volvo XC90 is also the same scheme like in the EX90. They go for a lot of trunk length. First of all, the width here is like 1.10 meters or 43 inches, and the length here, when the third row is up, is about, you know, like almost 60 centimeters or 23 inches. Underneath, there's much more space. Look at that, that's cool. This interior splitter, you can also completely remove, and look at the space you have then. So that's almost like Tesla Model Y size or Model X size underneath. So that's actually quite decent. And also the height here, this opening 77 centimeters or 30 inches. Now this one, as we've just shown to you, we can actually electrically fold them. Here, these capacity buttons, head restraints fold, go down like this, and also completely flat. Beep, beep, beep. And then the length here is almost 130 in meters or 51 inches. And that's really impressive. There you can see where the length went all. To fold this then, however, I have to go around and then use these here like this. And as we showed to you earlier, they also go full flat like here. And this is now 2.10 meters or 80 inches. So that's really full length. And more cool things. First of all, here in the lower part, you can lower the vehicle if it has the air suspension for better loading in and out. And then here, the buttons for the third sitting row, when you press them again, you can also higher them again from the trunk part. And you can also just like fold up the head restraints like this. And also inspired by the EX30 here, the will it fit sign. So that actually has the measures also. And interesting that the measures down there, they are a little bit longer than what I measured. And the reason for that is, the question is always like, do you measure up till here? Because you don't really know from the outside where is the hatch closing. But if it's closing here, obviously, then you can use this space here also for a couple of centimeters more. But it's actually a funny feature to have that here. Whoop. Woo. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge. Started with the acceleration with the Volvo EX90. That was slightly uphill in the performance AWD mode. So performance all-wheel drive, and we have the performance version here. So in this case probably was a little bit slower because slightly uphill, but the official figure is 4.7 seconds to 60 miles an hour and 4.9 seconds to 100 kilometers an hour, so under 5 seconds. This performance version here, just a little bit more software tune, and yeah, you do feel that notably. I mean, a second is something you do feel definitely. And yes, it was a good acceleration. The rear electric motor is a little bit stronger than the front one. Of course, in this case, we get the push from both. But what I also realize, it is so extremely silent in here. I mean, we're here on the highway number 1, so greetings once again to all our friends in the US. Large fan base here in California, so greetings to all of you especially. And I mean, this is, I mean, it directly starts to relax you, although it has a lot of power. That is amazing. What is our expert on noise insulation saying to that?
It's crazy.
It's crazy,
silent,
right?
yeah.
Wow. Oh, I hope these officers are not waiting for us. I mean, I did not exceed the speed limit, so yeah, that's very important. Not sure who they were controlling there. It always looks impressive, right? The US police guys, they always look very impressive, very, very, very important. Thanks for your service as well. Then let's continue here with our review. I can't even believe we're going like almost like 60 miles an hour, 55 miles an hour. Wow. That's incredible. So I didn't expect it to be that silent and that refined. So also if you compare it to, we recently had the Volvo XC90 pre-facelift. Of course, soon you'll see the Volvo XC90 facelift, or if you watch that review at a later stage, it's already online. And this is miles between this and the Volvo XC90 as for the noise insulation. So our initial question, exterior, interior, was like, is it a worthy EV successor in a way, still being built parallel? And in a way, it does even exceed that, you know, at least in this case, of course, performance-wise and also noise insulation-wise. So I'm really fond of that. You have different possibilities also to switch things here around in the driving modes and interior and stuff. and one of that is the one pedal driving. So at the moment, one pedal driving is active, and that means when I let go of the throttle, there is immediate deceleration. I can also turn it off, so when I then just lift my foot, I'm just rolling, and then I do the recuperation with the brake pedal. It is not that one is actually more efficient and the other is less efficient. It's just a different way of driving, and what you are getting used to and maybe what your co-driver is getting used to. And I mean, if you are really soft with throttle, then you can also make the one pedal driving work, and it's cool for the passenger. Sometimes you have to get used to it. And then there's the third setting, it's like auto, and this then, for example, when there is a vehicle in front of us, then there's recuperation, and when there's no vehicle in front of us, yeah, there's just rolling. And oh, there's like a...
He likes it louder.
Yeah, he likes it loud, yeah. Indeed. So steering here, we first start with a soft setting. And yeah, I mean, it's very easy to steer, very nice to ease it around in the parking lot and so on. It is not the most connected feeling, I would say, but also not the most disconnected one. So you feel that they have made it extra light for you, and that's totally fine, you know. And we're still in the AVWD performance mode. Like a quick sprint from 50 kilometers an hour to 65. Wow. Plop, that's it already. So you immediately get the push from that. That's pretty cool. And for more efficient driving, I would now deactivate the performance mode, and when, for example, not so much acceleration is being used, then the car can uncouple the rear electric motor, as I said earlier, for more efficiency. Very interesting system then that they put the rear electric motor, although this is like the main electric motor, but they had their reasons for that, especially like with the torque control and so on. So you can get a little bit more efficiency out of the car as for that. And speaking of that, so just to control it once again, we can just reset here the trip meter. So that's a good thing to do, because we had some like lot of acceleration in there, which maybe usually you don't do in that kind of way.
Push the
Yeah.
home button and then you...
Ah, yeah. Oh, okay. Thank you. So, yeah, Leah is just quicker with all these texting. So yeah, I'm the old guy always asking for climate knobs and stuff, and she's like, oh, this, and then how did you do that? You know, it's like, yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm just too old school car nerdy for some of the stuff. As for that, yeah, I don't feel too old though. That's fine. So once again, 65 miles an hour. So that's a 110 kilometers an hour. Extremely silent here. So relaxed. That's just awesome. And we can show you more of these driving features. Maybe not ideal to do that all while driving it. So I would not recommend it, but Leah can help me with that. Yeah, here the settings. Thank you. And then driving. So then view all, yes, indeed. So here you also have another view of these one pedal driving things, and steering feel. You can set to firm. So there you have a little bit more feedback. I do like that. So it's a good idea if that's too soft for you. And as far as I have heard, these settings are also being saved for the next restart. And suspension feel. So we do have the optional air suspension in here, and it does do a good job to even out that 22-inch wheel setup, because they are the largest ones, and of course they do cost you some comfort. That is true, but the air suspension is doing a good job. It's not set on a super floaty thing, but I think they found a good compromise there. And if we set it to firm, then yeah, sometimes it doesn't. Oh, my finger's too flimsy. I don't know. So here now set firm. Yeah, we immediately feel that, right? So the road is quite even, but there's some fine, bumps in there, and these you do feel way more with the firm. Yeah, it's interesting, right? So if you want to drive sporty or something, you see they did not do a setup where you can very, very quickly change these settings. That's not what they did. It's not a performance-oriented vehicle or something, but I would rather keep it in soft and enjoy some more of this air suspension comfort. If you want even more comfort, then stick with the smaller wheels, like at least 21-inch or maybe even a 20-inch if it's available in the respective version then on your market. Wow, it's like, isn't it F150 or F250 with these yellow daytime running lights in the front? That looks amazing. Yeah, we don't have that in Germany though. So, it's like Super Duty. Is it, guys?
This
is it
name is so cute.
Yeah, or F250 Super Duty. So yeah, always like for all the rugged stuff. Definitely cool. Yeah. So I'm really enjoying the ride, although sometimes the road is not that even. Air suspension is evening it out, and enjoying all the silentness in this interior. And although it's a really heavy vehicle, we had that topic earlier, the light steering, the good suspension, and also the nice noise insulation and all the comfort and so on, it doesn't make you feel the weight. So the funny thing is that it feels lighter than the Volvo XC90 driving. I'm looking forward to how it will develop this feeling with the XC90, because soon with the facelift, there will be. I always want to swipe down to get to the map again. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I have to learn that, definitely. Yeah. So I'm looking forward also how the Volvo XC90 facelift will be changed in driving, and we'll report back to you on that as well. This will also be very interesting if it, can maybe make something up of these differences and so on. But so far, yeah, really fond of that. And you immediately start thinking about all the competitors, like the BMW iX, for example, Mercedes EQE SUV, EQS SUV, then the longer one. And the Audi, well, yeah, that's the Q6 e-tron now. It's a little bit smaller, definitely, but that would be the closest competitor now. And of course, the Kia EV9. And we had all of these reviews, and it's super interesting to recheck them. But it is definitely one of the hot competitors in there due to its comfort, and it really feels refined. I like to change the temperature in an easier way, definitely while driving. So I always have to look way down, click it, and then click here plus and minus. So that's not my favorite thing. It's probably the thing that I like least with this vehicle. And I'm not that guy who likes to talk with the vehicle all the time. I rather prefer talking to Leah, and prefer talking to people actually than to my vehicle. Yeah, we can try that. And let's say I'm hot. You knew that, right?
Maybe you'd like to go swimming.
Maybe you'd like to go swimming. I thought it's like, for real? I'm cold.
Sorry, I can't control that in this car.
So that's not possible. Set temperature to 20 degrees. That's Celsius.
Got it. Changing the temperature to the coldest setting.
Ah, okay. So you need a degree. It's like set temperature to 72 degrees. That's correct. Fahrenheit, for example, middle temperature.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Oh, I need to stop it. Set temperature to 72 degrees.
Got it. Changing the temperature to 72 degrees.
There it is. Set lowest temperature. Set lowest temperature.
All right, changing the temperature to the lowest setting.
Yeah, so that works. So in this case, probably I will have to get used to talking to the car about the temperature and so on. Yeah, you can then maybe also live with that. About assistance systems, we activate them here on the left side of the steering wheel. Oh, wait, sorry. About assistance systems, like with Tesla, we press this one here down, like the stalk gear, changing gears and so on. Then we can also change it here. And we also have the active lane keeping assist, shows me here with the green symbol. Let's see how many corrections or maybe overcorrections there are and so on. But so far, it's keeping it quite calm in the lane. Of course, you have to keep your hands at the steering wheel. Now, motorway is making this slight right bend here. Yeah, also this transition between the lanes. So far, so good. That's nice. Oh, actually pretty cool. And if you want to have some of the assistance systems deactivated, by the way, is also that you press this vehicle button there, and then you can directly click lane keeping aid, and that's like the row there, down there. They told me is where in the EU also where you can deactivate. That's a nice green for the Macan GTS. Wasn't it Mamba green? Wasn't it called Mamba green? quite sure. We have a review of exactly this vehicle on our channel actually. Like Macan, combustion engine, GTS, this color. You should watch it as well. Yeah, this speed limit deactivation is also supposed to be in there. And I think very well done here from the assistance systems. Then blind spot monitor, I see a red triangle in these frameless mirrors. That's what I wanted to say. I think beautiful in the design, and then also blind spot with the red triangle. So also good as for the assistance systems. And yeah, I know, talked about it, we have a lot of different sensor systems here, even a LiDAR. So this also promises a very reliable recognition of what's happening around you with the vehicles and so on. And honestly, I really have to say, hardly ever had the highways, they're sometimes kind of like bombed out, so to speak, if you know what I mean, like with all the potholes and bumps and so on, and all the heavy duty trucks being on there every day and so on. But it's super relaxing, super comfortable. Seating wise, as I said earlier, I probably would go for the perforated Nordico seats, that the high-grade leatherette with perforation. I feel the material is even softer than the fabric seat material. And then you also have the active seat cooling. So when it's a really hot day, and yeah, that sunroof, probably when you're living in a hot state, I would get this additional cover that you put on from the lower part, because I also feel it with my hand. It's getting really hot with this sunroof there. Lane change, by the way, also well done. The car doesn't shake up much at all, and I would really keep it in the rather firm steering setting, I feel, because that gives me a little bit more feedback, and I like to have more steering feedback. Leah rather would go the opposite, probably with a soft steering setup. She nods, yeah, because she just enjoys when the car feels a little bit lighter to drive and she doesn't need to use much force, with the steering wheel and so on. Here, maybe these typical, like, California guys will know that when you have some of the lanes which have like these longitudinal, very fine lines in the concrete, that's sometimes extremely loud. You also hear it now picking up on the camera, but considering, it might be even louder in this car, it's also relatively silent. So this is from start to finish, basically the main thing you feel in that vehicle. Does it give me a typical Volvo vibe? I would say these new electric vehicles add something very specific to it. And I feel that considering also past Volvo models, this one feels a little bit more agile and sportier than the combustion engine Volvos, which is a typical thing for the electric vehicles because, yes, the weight is higher on the one hand, but then again, the center of gravity is really low in the vehicle. And that also helps with driving feel and so on. It has its physical limits, of course. When you're pushing really hard into a certain corner or something, then of course a non-battery electric vehicle will always be more agile just because it has less weight. Can you also go for a rear-wheel drive version of this one here? Absolutely. If you don't need this additional acceleration power, it will also be quite efficient. Yes, a little bit less kilowatt hours capacity of the battery, but the car will be a little bit lighter, will be cool in handling, and yeah, can also of course be even more efficient, so you can make up for this some kilowatt hour difference then that you lose from the capacity and so on. Meanwhile, I have deactivated one pedal driving, by the way. To me it feels a little bit more that I'm used to drive the vehicle. Others say I drove with one pedal and that's the best thing. Leah's also a fan of one pedal driving, so she really says like, when I just need to use one pedal, why shouldn't I do it? Yeah, that's probably once again the thing, like how many years are you used to do something and how much do you want to keep it with your preference. But the good thing, it offers actually both. And now some more curvy driving. I also put the suspension feel now to firm, so this will help us here then a little bit in cornering. We have a beautiful road here, definitely, and it's really interesting that it feels nice and sporty. It is fun to drive. That is a very important aspect, definitely. And it is very well to control and also predictable, especially if you have decided for a specific recuperation system that you are most familiar with, actually. And once again, the impression that although it is really super, super heavy, it doesn't feel that heavy because of the whole silent suspension setup and so on, and also the steering feel. But here for these cases here, suspension firm and steering wheel firm is actually good. It's not that it doesn't work here with the soft suspension. And if I have opened that here like this, because Leah opened that for me like this, then it's easier to set. But honestly, to change these settings, to go deep in these menu while driving, not to be recommended at all. So it's probably also not what they really thought of. So they rather thought of, hey, you set it up once and that's kind of it. Everything else is actually not safe enough. So I would probably just leave it with suspension feel soft, even if I from time to time drive sporty, because even if it's here in the soft setting, yeah, you can still drive with driving fun, no doubt about that. And I mean, all these cars here passing really close next to us, I hardly actually hear them once again because of the good noise insulation. So these are the things that surprised me most, how silent it is, and at the same time how good the handling actually is. And this is also because of the EV and also because of the very new platform. It's an interesting place to overtake. Okay, well, VW Jetta racing car for us here. Yeah, and here close to 60 miles an hour again. Very, I would call it like sovereign ride. I know this is not a word that you usually use for that, but I always use it to describe when it's a really convincing ride. It gives you confidence, it's very calm, and you know, yeah, it just leaves you satisfied and also with comfort. At the same time, you have enough power reserves to really hit it through. Should you maybe go for the rear-wheel drive version? I like rear-wheel drive cars, you know that. It's not that quick, at the same time is also a little bit lighter. And yes, it does lose some kilowatt hours in the net capacity. At the same time, it is also the more efficient concept. Although we do have this uncoupling feature here, yes, of course, but maybe then the difference is not too large between all of these vehicles. And soon at the very end, I will also give you once again an update about our concise consumption on the trip we have shown you here on camera. Efficiency and real-world range. Today we could score some 18 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. So that's 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour in ideal conditions. So 60 miles, 100 kilometers an hour, or most of the time even less than that here on these roads. Also best temperatures, so ideal conditions. So that is of course a great result. Range-wise means concise real range 600 kilometers or 370 miles, but only under these ideal conditions. When you go for like higher speed and so on, it will be more like 21 kilowatt hours on 1 kilometer, more like 3 miles per kilowatt hour. So even then at a little bit higher speeds, you can then calculate with about 500 kilometers or 300 miles, then you're actually safe, also when the conditions are not that great. Pricing starts around 80,000 euros or dollars, and if you spec the vehicle, high trim, all-wheel drive, you get close to 100,000. So not a widest margin between base and high trim. That's, I think, a good solution. It depends on the market which versions are offered also initially. If maybe some versions are offered at a later stage and so on, we have to take a look at that definitely. Is it now a worthy electric version of the XC90? I think definitely yes. It feels really premium, it's really silent on the interior. That's interesting. Look at that. There's a Volvo XC90, like the petrol one. Just you can see that here. It's the same color, basically. So that's a perfect scene, right? Thank you so much for this demonstration. That was not planned, by the way. This was pure coincidence. Seriously, but great coincidence, right? And perfectly fitted to my moderation. So yeah, I think both will have, you know, still place to live, because if you have a charging infrastructure, this might just be the thing for you. And if you don't have any charging infrastructure possibility, or that's a problem in your country or the neighborhood where you're living, then you can go with the XC90. Facelift will be out on our channel. And yeah, with plug-in hybrid and mild hybrid drivetrains, everything you need to know about that. And yeah, as it is here in the Vapor Grey, or also sand dune color, also very beautiful from the exterior and so on. Or maybe another competitor.